Okay, so this unit here, this cabin chassis, is it's a what they call a repower. It broke down on the way somewhere, and so they end up coming here to an international dealership, and it's fixed. And I'm here to pick it up and continue on with its journey. And I noticed some things that I wanted to point out, and so I'm going to do another video on how to hook up to a cabin chassis in this style. Okay, really important is this one here does not have the tractor style 7-way plug-in that's usually sitting right here or way up front. This thing here is a true cabin chassis, and all it has is the lights in the back. And so I'm going to go through all this stuff and how I went about doing what I did. The first thing I want to point out that I noticed right away, and you might notice, is that my mud flaps are way out of whack. They're flopping around, they're not staying on, and this is where they are, okay? So this thing had walked all the way over here, the last guy that had it, and so now I'm going to get them back in position, and I'm going to show you how I remounted them back into position. This time I'm going to move them back, but then I'll pause the video and get the tools out that I use that keeps this thing in place, so you don't have to sit and watch me work. Wait for me in the background. So you just got to get this thing centered up. So I'm just going to work it until I get what I think is centered. That way this thing ain't sticking way out past the tire mark and I'm hitting somebody else's car. At the same time, I want my mud flaps to protect my car that I'm pulling behind here. I'm going to make sure it protects that too, so it doesn't get hit with rocks, things like that. And so I'm going to give it a little bit, this one more, a little bit more, and then there we go. I think that's going to do it. We're not building a piano. It's my favorite saying. We need it to be close. We're not building a piano. So I got it close. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to break out the tools I use to lock this down. I'm going to show you how I do it. And it keeps us from walking and keeps it straight. So here we go. Okay, I just wired this up, this gizmo. The way these tail lights are wired is the plug comes into this one, feeds through this one, comes out this plug, goes into this one. So I actually acquired this at one of the shops that makes trucks, and he happened to have one, gave it to me, works great. I had to do some, because the wires don't match up. Like this red and blue is for the backup buzzer, but you'll see that this yellow is mixed in with the greens because that's the right turn signal, but it's just the way the wires come out of here, the way these are. So I got it together right, I got it hooked up right, and so what I'll do is I'll plug this baby on, and then I'll plug this in. I think I have my tail lights on right now because I just made this thing. So my tail lights are on, and so then I'll keep this pulling out. I'll run it around this piece of metal through this hole, and voila! It won't. Hopefully, it won't fall apart on me while I drive down the road. But there you go. That should do it, and this should not come off. I'm going to turn my tail lights off. I've already checked on my lighting; it all works. This is ready to go to hook up to my car. So we'll go from there. But this is how I recommend doing it. A lot of people will use something like this, and they'll snap lock onto the wires and damages the wires. So you want to avoid that, because if they do a careful inspection and they see that you use these on this wiring, you're going to have to pay for that wiring. They're not going to repair it. They're just going to make you replace the whole thing. So, and they can be expensive. So let's do it the right way. Let's have these little connectors right here, and now or you can hook it up. Okay, so I went ahead and got this side done. I've done this before. I use these welding clamps to clamp down on the metal. And on this, tighten it real tight. I run a wire around it and then put it through the frame so that if this falls off, I still have it, and then I tape it so it don't pop open. Tape it so it don't pop open here. And so now that's going to keep that from moving. I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to do this side the same way. This is the tool I use. I'm going to do this one the same way. I'm going to clamp it down, wire it down, tape it down, and it'll keep this from moving. Right now, so it'll still go forward and back. So that's where we're at with this. Okay, so I'm missing a bag. Give me 1 second, please. So here I am with my bag of goodies, and certain goodies I need right away, others I don't. And so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my hitch on this now, and I'm going to put it on the bottom rail so it's as low as it could possibly go, and you don't see the damage up here. You want your bolts on the outside of the C channel, so my bolts will come in on the bottom and it'll sit on top. Nobody will see the marks that it makes, if it ever makes marks. So you want to stay off the top if you can and go to the bottom. Sometimes you can't, gotta go to the top. And so that's something that you gotta watch out for, is this thing making marks. So I use this particular impact screwdriver, and does what I need it to do. So like I said, I'm gonna put this thing on. I'm gonna flip it around. I like it a certain way. I got a little bit of OCD. So some people say, I don't believe them. And so what you do, put this thing on and you try to center it the best you can. Once you get it centered and you get it all the way out, and you want to tighten it down, I'm going to use this to tighten it down. Well, this just gets it snug. This is not tight. Sliding bolts, you want to tighten them down also. So when you tighten these down, the reason why I'm doing this is I wanted to demonstrate. You want to use a torque wrench. This thing clicks. It tells you that it's tight enough. Don't go any further. So we have this thing here, and I'll put it on here, and I will move this until it clicks. There you go. And then I'll do this bottom one. You can do all the bottom ones, but I have a handy dandy extension. Bring it a little lower so I don't bar up my knuckles. Tighten until it clicks. Once it's clicked, you're done. That's it. There's no more. I'll double check this one to make sure. Once it's clicked, it's done. Done. And there you go. Double check this one. Click. Click. That's it for that. Now, it's important use a torque wrench, because that thing sits in here like this on the C channel. And if you over tighten it, you'll start spreading that out. When it gets out like this, it ain't any good. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna hold nothing on. You wanna keep it in this way, 100 pounds, that's all it's needed. There it is. And so now we have to tighten down the lock nuts. And the lock nuts of these nuts are on the outside here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a nut right here. When I tighten this down, it'll keep this one from backing off. So we're gonna tighten those down. And I use this to be speedy about getting them down. So I'm not here working them for 10 minutes. And then I take my torque wrench, my little extension, so I don't mess up my knuckles, and I tighten it down. I did this one. Check it. Okay. And so there you have it. This thing is now mounted on. Now there's a drop down piece I have multiple drop down pieces. I'm gonna go grab it real quick. On my vehicle, my piece that goes to my vehicle is a lot higher than most vehicles. So I'm grabbing the shortest one. This has got 2 holes in it. So using this hole is the shortest possible one I could use. When I have this bolt down here, it gets in the way of putting this pin on. So I always have to go this way. Stupid little stuff to point out, but if it helps you and you're like, oh, I can't get the pin on, pull it out, put it the other way. So put it on, and when I push the pin on, I push it all the way in, all the way down. So now we have these nuts. I got one back here that looks just like this. I have a different one here. These only need to be snugged up. This thing here will do this all the way down the road. But if you snug this up, this ever so slightly, and then tighten down the lock nut, that thing won't move. And there's one on the back side. It's different. So I'm going to need to use this tool. It's a little stiffer too. There we go. I'll just tighten it down until it snugs up. And that's it. I won't need that socket anymore. And then I'll tighten down the lock nut that's in there. There you go. And I won't be needing that anymore. And I won't be needing these sockets anymore or this extension anymore on this particular setup. Hang on just a second. Okay, so now I'm gonna hook on I use a pintle. And the pintle, when you got 4 wheels extending like a car is, you don't lose control of what's going on. Of course, you had 2 wheels, the pintle's not good, the ball is good, but we don't have 2 wheels, we have 4. So I'm gonna use this pintle hook, stick this thing in here, and I wanna point something else out, that it's important for all your hooks and all your tie down straps or whatever you use, they have to be on the same side. It's a DOT thing, so I got my hook on this side, so this thing's gotta be the same way. Just like that. And like I said, I push my clip all the way down. And when you tighten these nuts down, I have nuts on this also. So when I tighten these nuts down, you see it, well, you see, let me loosen it back up. You see how much movement it has. So all the movement translates. transfers out. So I take this and I snug it down. I don't make it too tight. It just has to stop it from moving. Lock the nut down. I do the same thing to the bottom one. Then I'll tighten the nut down. And there you go. Got my metal piece on. I'm gonna take my chain. My chain's gonna wrap around this. It's not gonna be on the body at all. This is bolted to the frame. When if it comes off, well, pickup trucks the same way. Pickup trucks, their receiver is mounted to the frame. It's not welded to the frame, it's bolted to the frame. This is bolted to the frame. So this thing won't move. So putting your chain on here, this thing won't move unless something breaks, unless you like roll it or catastrophe. This piece won't move once it's tightened down and locked down. So I'm gonna wrap the chain around this metal piece here and have it come out. I'm gonna hook my car up, get my wiring done, and I'll be set to go. Keep in mind that manual transmission is the best, and with manual you can disconnect the battery, put the key in, you turn the key on so your steering wheel turns when you turn, but when you back up, turn the key off, pull the key out, lock the steering straight. Because backing up is a whole different story. You will break things. I have done it, and it's very costly. Lock the steering in reverse, unlock the steering going forward. Thank you and have a great day.